Hey, what's going on, guys? It's HawksNest here, back with another Call of Duty mobile video. Now, in today's video, I'm sure you guys already read the title, but basically we're going to be talking about the hardcore mode inside of COD Mobile, which was released just today on, I believe, September 24th. Now, the reason I'm actually making this video is because the hardcore mode and the core modes are very, very different, especially when you're talking about how easy it is to actually kill someone. It's very, very easy to, number one, die, and also it's easy to get kills inside of hardcore, which makes for a very different pace of game. Not only that, but weapons will actually be very different performing inside of hardcore as opposed to other modes. So in this video, we'll be talking about the top 5 loadouts for you guys to use inside of the hardcore playlist. Now, what are the differences between core mode and hardcore? It's actually really simple. There's only about 4 or 5 differences between the two, although obviously these differences make for a completely different playstyle. The first change is probably the most important one, and that is that your HP is only 30. Typically, you have 100 HP in almost every single mode, but inside of hardcore modes, you do have 30 HP, so you're going to be a lot easier to kill, and enemies are also going to be a lot easier to kill. Next is you don't actually regen your HP, so if you lose HP, your HP is done for. There's no way to regen it naturally. Maybe in the future they might add like a tactical thing where you can like heal yourself. I don't know how that works, or I don't know if there's some like weird tricks to heal yourself, like maybe quick fix or fast regen affects that, but for just the base situations, you can't actually regen. Next up is that friendly fire is activated, so you are able to kill your teammates. I don't know if you're penalized for doing this, but just be a good person and don't kill your teammates. But once again, there is a decent chance that maybe if you get like 2 or 3 teammate kills, you will get kicked from the lobby. So just don't even mess around with that, because again, that's not fun for anybody. Next up is that your minimap does not work unless your team calls in a UAV, so you'll never see the minimap. You won't be able to get any vision of where anyone is, even when they're shooting. So what's going to be really important when you're playing hardcore is to have headphones in so you can hear where the shots are, because that's going to be pretty much the only way to gauge enemies' positions, unless once again you do have a UAV, which is another thing you should definitely have going into hardcore modes. So that is pretty much all of the changes. If I did miss anything, which I don't think I did, but if I did, I will put them down below in the comments and pin that comment, so you can definitely check down there to get any more info on hardcore mode. So with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about loadouts and what the best loadouts are, and also why they're the best loadouts, because obviously I don't want to just say something without giving the reasoning why. So if you guys remember, as I said before, inside of hardcore mode, you only have 30 HP as opposed to the typical 100. So basically guns that are going to be one-shot kills in hardcore mode are going to be guns that can deal either 30 damage or above. It has to be 30 damage specifically. Can't be 29.9 or anything like that. It has to be 30 damage or above. So basically every single weapon that I'm going to be showing you is one of these weapons, because that's how you can instantly kill someone. As soon as you press the fire button, they're dead. Although obviously some guns can only do that like at closer ranges, whereas some of these other guns can do it very, very far, which we will talk about. But yeah, basically every single weapon in this, you can actually one-tap kill somebody, although there is a couple honorable mentions I will get into, which do kill in 2 shots but still kill extremely fast and are definitely usable. Although I do think there's probably about 3 weapons in my list that I'm about to show you that are just basically going to be the go-to weapons for everybody. Alright, so one of the first weapons I'm going to talk about is going to be the DRH. I wouldn't say this is the best one by any means, although this one is very, very solid. If you guys are wondering about the build, this is the build that I have right now. Basically, all of my loadouts are going to be composed of about 3 different things. Number 1 is effectively increasing the range that you can one-shot somebody, so that's really important. Number 2 is going to be stealth, because obviously inside of hardcore mode, you can get one-shotted by a ton of different guns, so it's very important that you're very stealthy and can get around the map without being seen. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is having extremely fast reaction time, so basically having really good movement speed and ADS speed, so that obviously when you are surprised by someone, you're still able to hopefully get that first shot off, because again, in hardcore mode, a lot of these guns are going to be one-tap, so it's whoever gets the shot off first will win the gunfight. So reaction time is extremely, extremely important. And also, it doesn't really matter if your accuracy and controls get hurt too much. Like you could have a gun that shakes a lot, because most of the guns that I will be talking about are a one-shot kill, so obviously recoil isn't a factor when you're only shooting 1 bullet. Obviously, you're probably gonna have to spray a little bit more than that, because it's really hard to hit every single shot. But again, for most fights, you're not going to be shooting too much, especially if you're a very accurate player, so having really good accuracy and control stats are not that important. This is also true because the first bullet is always going to be going in the exact same spot. I did test this in a training lobby just to kind of check how that works. So your first shot is basically going to be going in the same place every single time if you are scoped in, so not really a big deal to have big control or accuracy stats. But also I do want to point out with the DRH specifically, since we're talking about it, the iron sights are a little bit weird. As you can see, the bullet does go to the top right a little bit, so definitely keep this in mind mind with this weapon, and it's iron sights. I think a red dot would correct this, but I like the iron sights on the DRH, so I do stick with them. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the build a little bit. So once again, we're basically trying to get range, suppression for stealth, and ADS speed, which all of these attachments do that in some way or another, except for one, which we will talk about. So monolithic suppressor, boosting our range and silencing the gun, as I talked about. MIP light is helping our ADS speed. No stock, helping our ADS speed. 25 round OTM mag. So I actually lied. The 25 round OTM attachment does help with your damage range in a weird way. Basically what that does is it increases the damage to the upper body. So this is basically gonna just allow you to one shot at a further distance. So 25 round OTM attachment, definitely very good. You could still one shot without that attachment, but you won't be one shotting as far necessarily. So that is a great attachment to have on this. And then stippled grip tape, helping us with our sprint to fire speed and ADS speed. So once again, our reaction times. The maximum range that you can actually one shot somebody in the body with the DRH is going to be 32 meters, and the maximum range that you're guaranteed to one shot someone, so even if you hit them in the toes, you'll one shot them, that's going to be 17 meters. So up to 17 meters, as long as you hit the opponent, they're going to die. And then once again, up to 32 meters, as long as you're hitting a chest shot, you'll be able to one shot the opponent. And you can go a little bit further with headshots, but I'm not going to talk about headshots because those are extremely hard to hit, especially at those distances. So that is going to be our first loadout. Next up is going to be the AK-47, which I personally think this is going to be the best of all the weapons, and I think we'll see this one in hardcore the most. Now let's go ahead and look at the loadout as well. So as you can see, the loadout is very similar to the OTM. We're basically going for the exact same things as I said before. Again, you could tweak this if you want to, but I think this is going to fit the mode in the best way possible. So monolithic suppressor, as I said before. MIP light barrel, same thing, movement speed, ADS speed, so helping you be more mobile and have better reaction speed. I put a red dot on this just because I don't love the iron sights on the AK-47. You could totally do the iron sights and just get a different attachment instead of a red dot, but personally I like the red dot. And then no stock, and then stippled grip tape. And then also, I'm not really doing extended mags on any of these classes because you're going to be killing people in very, very few bullets, so you're not going to run out of ammo that much, and you can always reload whenever you need to, whenever you're obviously safe. So I'm personally not doing extended mags. You could do them, but I just think when you're killing people in 1 to 3 bullets, it's really not that necessary to be upping your magazine capacity. If I were to take off the red dot, I would probably put on either sleight of hand or FMJ maybe. I really don't know how FMJ works with hardcore. So yeah, FMJ or sleight of hand definitely would be super solid. Or I would probably do the OWC laser. You just got to make sure you're really careful with this because obviously people will see you, which kind of eliminates the stealth factor of the game. So I definitely think, yeah, I think an OWC laser would be a solid option. Also, I think this skin looks sick on it too. Looks really dope. So with this class, you get a maximum one-shot range of 36 meters, which is very, very, very good. And another thing that I didn't mention about the DRH that goes for the AK-47 as well, both of these guns have okay fire rate, so even if you do miss your first few shots, they're able to put up the next shots fairly quickly. So that is one of the best things about having this thing, the AK-47 and the DRH. They do shoot moderately fast, so you can follow up with a second shot or third shot if needed. Although I do think against very good players, it's basically going to be whoever gets the first shot off first. So you definitely want to be trying to hit your first shot if at all possible. Which also means that you want to be pre-aiming a ton. Pre-aiming is basically just whenever you're looking somewhere, always keep your crosshair right where you think people should be. So never have your crosshair pointed at something that isn't a place where someone would be. Crosshair should always be a place that people would, number one, be expected, and number two, can even be. Like, don't point it at the sky, don't point it at a wall where people can't stand, stuff like that. So again, AK-47, I think that is going to be one of the best ones, and again, iron sights would totally be usable. I just personally like having some kind of sight on it. Next up is going to be the Man of War. Now this build actually has a very, very far maximum one-shot kill range, and that's going to be 39 meters, so a little bit farther than the AK-47, although it does shoot a little bit slower, so that is one thing to keep in mind. If you're missing some shots, this one is going to be more punishing. Now, as you can tell, we have the RTC huge suppressor. As you can tell, helps with our recoil a little bit, which doesn't matter that much. Damage range and then suppression, and then we have the OWC marksman, which is going to help out our range a pretty decent amount, and then bullet spread accuracy and lateral stability. You also could just go the short barrel if you want to go with ADS speed and movement speed. I wanted to make this class a little bit different. I wanted to try to get as much range as I possibly could with it, so I decided to go with that. But again, you could go the light barrel if you want to. YKM combat stock for a little bit of ADS speed, stippled grip tape for ADS speed, and the OWC laser for ADS speed. With all of those attachments, the ADS speed is very, very solid, so that's why I went with the marksman as opposed to like the light barrel, because it already ADS is pretty damn fast. I would say this one is for a little bit more of a campy playstyle, just because this one does have the best range of basically all of the ARs that I am talking about. Last up for the AR category is going to be the ASM-10. This thing is very similar to the Man of War. Pretty much the only difference is that this thing does ADS a little bit faster. I think it also reloads a little bit faster, but your movement speed is a little bit slower than the Man of War. And another difference is that the Man of War does have a little bit more range, but the ASM-10 shoots faster, so you'll be able to follow with the more shots. So the ASM-10 is kind of like a more aggressive Man of War in a way. But yeah, so attachments are very, very stock to what I've been saying. Monolithic suppressor, OWC marksman, no stock, stippled grip tape, and OWC laser tactical. Basically the same attachments on all of the classes I'm talking about, just because it fits hardcore really well. And as you can see with our stats, we actually have no negatives, which is really cool. Boosted range and boosted mobility. So very, very solid class here as well. And I love the iron sights, so I'm able to rock those pretty easily. Now, before I get into the last two I want to talk about and actually look at loadouts with, I do want to say that the Razorback, the M4 LMG, those are two other weapons that are able to one-shot at pretty decent ranges. So those are definitely viable, although I think basically all of the guns I've talked about right now are better for the mode. And also, I wouldn't recommend most snipers because snipers have a very slow time for you to actually shoot off a second shot, which is going to be very important in hardcore because if you miss your first shot, you're guaranteed dead. So I wouldn't recommend bolt actions and stuff. Maybe the Kilo if you want to kind of challenge yourself. But the two snipers we're about to talk about right now are basically going to be extremely good to use inside of hardcore mode because of the way that they are built. And then at the end, we have one more weapon that I'm going to talk about, which is probably going to be, dude, it's insane, honestly. This gun is really crazy, and I would not be surprised if we see this all the time in hardcore mode. And you probably noticed what it is by now, but anyway, so last two weapons that we're going to talk about that are a primary weapon is going to be number one, the M21 EBR, and then number two is going to be the XPR, which I'm sure most of you guys already predicted. But here's the gunsmith setup for this. It is exactly what I've been saying. I'm just going for basically ADS speed, reaction speed, and all that. Just making this more mobile because it is a sniper, so it's not typically mobile. But a no stock is going to help with ADS speed and movement speed. MIP precise, helping with ADS speed. 3x tactical scope because I don't want to have a ton of zoom since I am going to be a little bit more aggressive. You can go with whatever sight you want. Sleight of hand so I can reload a little faster, and then also OWC tactical for faster ADS speed. So as you can tell, this is basically just a run and gun XPR which can one shot I think at every single range in the game. I could be wrong. If it's not able to one shot at every single range of the game, I think the range where it wouldn't be able to one shot is going to be very far out. You'll probably never even run into a range like that. So basically that's the M21. XPR is going to be basically the exact same story. I kind of forget the differences between the two, so just try both of them I guess and see which one you like. I personally think I would rock the XPR, but yeah, so this is going to be the exact same build, going to be doing the exact same thing basically. Fire rate on the XPR is 37, fire rate on the M21 is going to be 35. So actually the XPR does shoot a little faster, so if you want something that can follow up with a second shot pretty quick, then I'd probably recommend that. But yeah, so these are both very, very solid one-shot weapons that can one-shot at basically any range at all. So if you do want to play a little bit more long range, these are definitely solid, and you could run and gun with them if you'd like. Also, I do want to note that in terms of the perks and all that, I say lightweight is really good, although you could really do whatever you want. Yeah, I'd probably just maybe agile, maybe. I think lightweight probably is just going to be the best for hardcore. Vulture if you're trying to go for nukes, which I probably don't recommend, but if you want to challenge yourself, definitely go for it. Ghost would be definitely solid if yeah, I think Ghost would be solid because more than likely you're not going to rock an SMRS or anything like that, and people will get a lot of UAVs, so Ghost is definitely not a bad option. And yeah, toughness also probably kind of useless because anytime you're getting shot, you're just gonna die. So there's no point in reducing your weapon flinch. So toughness probably useless. Dead silence, absolutely a necessity. But that brings us to our final weapon, which is the J358. This thing is absurd. I have it written down right here. The maximum range that this thing can one shot is 48 meters, and it doesn't have to be a headshot. You just have to hit them up to 48 meters, and they will die, which is again absolutely absurd with this class. So if you do have the J358 long barrel, that is going to increase your range. And then a red dot just for a little bit better accuracy, tactical laser for faster ADS speed so I can also play a little bit more aggressive, bigger magazine with 8-round reload, which you don't have to do, but kind of up to you, and then stippled grip tape to increase my ADS speed as well. So this thing is an absolute monster. Amazing. It's crazy what it is for a pistol. Really the only downside I would say is the fact that your second shot will come out a little bit slower, but if you're very accurate and you're able to hit that one shot, it's insane. And then also a smaller magazines means that you're going to get caught reloading a little bit more often. But honestly, those aren't terrible downsides for a weapon that is able to one-shot up to nearly 50 meters and is able to aim it super fast because it is a pistol. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and a sub down below, and I will see you guys later. Peace.